Welcome back to Bumblebee. Here are the top 10 ancient structures built by humans. Kicking off the list at number 10, Plain of Jars. If you have trypophobia, you may want to avoid amid mountains in Laos. These massive stone jars reach around 10 feet tall, and they were put there around 2,500 years ago. To hold what and for what reason? Well, we still have no idea. Maybe those jars were ancient sploosh from the Disney hit Holes? Oh, that came much later. Can't be. The only ideas researchers have gathered so far is that these jars may have been used for burial ceremonies, or maybe they were to hold the bodies of past relatives before said process. Yeah, there were a lot of bones found there. But again, something this old, you're gonna find bones in a lot of places, so you can't really pinpoint a certain idea. There were a lot of plagues going around, right? Locals have an interesting take on the Plain of Jars, actually. They believe they were once used to hold alcohol for mythical giants. Yeah, only 7 of the 60 found are open to the public, so there's still lots we don't know. Number 9, Drum Castle. Ancient chambers. Okay, now we're doing it. Back in 2013, while a conservation team was working on Scotland's oldest castle, Drum Castle, they found a previously undiscovered part of the castle, a hidden chamber left untouched for hundreds of years. Dr. Jonathan Clark from FAS Heritage, part of the archaeological team, he recalls window openings on the first floor level, but once inside the castle, wherever these rooms were, they were hidden behind bookshelves. So, hidden rooms, there we go. So they unblocked these windows, took a peek in, and found a hidden medieval chamber. And in great condition too. There was even a little toilet in there too, in case you, I guess, had to go. I don't know, I wouldn't use it, no way. To quote Dr. Clark himself from The Scotsman, great name for a website, he says, "This adds greatly to our knowledge on how the interior of the Tower of Drum was used in the medieval period. In due course, it should contribute to a greater knowledge of how 14th century towers were used in their heyday." Yeah, hidden chambers, nice. This is starting to sound like Harry Potter, I don't like it. Doesn't matter what area you're in, it's always hidden chambers. Humans are so creepy. Ugh, I wouldn't go in, no way, there's definitely a curse in there. Number 8, Carnac Stones. The impressively large collection of megalithic stones that cover the area of Carnac in France have boggled the minds of researchers for years. They're also referred to sometimes as France's Stonehenge, which is not a bad title, although they look quite different. The Carnac Stones are a collection of 3,000 stones which were all cut from the same rock type and put in place somewhere between 3,300 and 4,500 BCE. What confused a lot of researchers was the fact that even though some of the stones show alignments, dolmens, and other examples of ancient geography consistent with other sites, they really shouldn't have existed in the time period in which they were constructed. Another ancient mystery. Humans just ahead of their time. Most of the time they're doing bad stuff, but in this time they were carving stones. Nice. Ancient gem girls. We love it. Scientists have been trying to decode the arrangement of these stones for years, trying to figure out what it all means, but they're still, as you would have guessed, unsure. It's all still a mystery. Number 7, the first zoo. Long before the pyramids were even built, Egyptians were getting pretty creative. They were the first to see a petting zoo. How fun is that? How brave is that? Rather, those animals back then? No way. Let's just start touching animals and see what happens. Great. 6,000 years ago, Hierakonpolis was the capital of Upper Egypt during the pre-dynastic period. It was beautiful. It was sitting alongside the Nile River, and in those days, perhaps the best way to flaunt your wealth was by getting an exotic pet. Yeah, the old Mike Tyson way. There were excavations done back in the late 19th century by English archaeologists James Quibble and Frederick Green, and they were the ones who originally discovered that this town was once thriving with over 10,000 residents, so that's amazing by itself. But then they also found the remains of an elephant surrounded in cosmetics. Yeah, ivory bracelets and amethyst beads all over. Some glorious elephant. There was also cats and dogs, which, common pets even now, but there were also crocodiles. Again, brave owners. Some brave owners at this time. There were hippos, leopards, wild ox, you name it. They were carefully buried as if to suggest they were pets, but the broken bones suggest a cruel history otherwise. Classic ancient humans doing what ancient humans do best. Just hurting people. Number 6, a really old cat. So we've covered the Nazca lines before on this channel, but have you heard about this relaxing cat? Yeah, a little bit nicer, I'd say. The Nazca Desert in Peru was already fascinating with its geoglyphs, but among the 2,000-year-old massive pieces of ancient art, we have this massive cat that predates the Nazca lines. This cat was from the late Paracas era, around 500 BC, whereas all the lines from the Nazca culture was around 700 AD. It's around 37 meters long, and we caught it last year at a pretty good time. It was actually quite close to fading away thanks to natural erosion. The fat cat has since been conserved, in case you're wondering. Number 5, Machu Picchu. Currently a wonder of the modern world, and rightfully so, Machu Picchu was built over 500 years ago. It was first discovered in 1911 by archaeologist Hiram Bingham when he and a small team were originally heading out to find the ancient city of Vilcabamba. But during their commute from Cusco, they accidentally found this landmark instead, sitting 2,430 meters above sea level. Machu Picchu is a 15th century Inca citadel built from thousands of stones, each weighing over 50 tons. And with Machu Picchu translating to Old Mountain, this seems like an impossible build on a dreadful landscape with barely any animal power to help out, let alone rock cutting tools or even wheels. How did this happen? Even after many years of foul weather like earthquakes, this ancient city still stands. And I have a feeling it's not going anywhere anytime soon. These stones fit perfectly together, and we believe it's because the Incas literally pounded the rocks into shape with their hands. That takes a lot of time and power. The only animal we think helped build this ancient city were llamas. Yeah, these stones are 50 tons, and they only had llamas. Again, we still have no idea. Number 4, the works of old men. If you're into crop circles, this one's gonna blow your mind. Located in Jordan's Azraq oasis lie these massive geometric shapes, dating even older than the Aztec lines in Peru. These structures are of course man-made, but it's not very often something like this is found from up there, from the skies, where the gods live. Yeah, more often than not, you're sifting through the dirt for years and years until eventually you find an ancient spearhead. This time, a pilot saw something peculiar. There are hundreds of these wheel-like structures that are each over 80 feet wide, some even as large as 200 feet. One of the oldest man-made creations that we have ever found, period. Hence their name. These were built 8,500 years ago. That's 4,000 years older than the pyramids. Here this whole time were wheels with spokes. It looks like kites, pendants. The thing with this structure is that it spans a great distance. It goes far across the Arabia region from Syria through Jordan and Saudi Arabia all the way to Yemen. So it was only fair a pilot discovered these works from the skies. Almost wouldn't notice it from the ground, some would say. But in 1927, from up there, we found it. Nice. Number 3, the Pyramids of Egypt. Built over 4,500 years ago, the Pyramids of Giza are massive tombs where ancient pharaohs and queens were once laid to rest. And we can't stop digging around them and just poking. We can't stop scanning them, apparently, like we're aliens. Well, actually, Tesla CEO Elon Musk is pretty sure that they were built by aliens, which is great. Around 15 million visitors get an up-close look at these beautiful structures once a year, and for a long time we speculated just how they were built. Until the early 20th century, the pyramid built for the pharaoh Khufu was the largest building on the planet. It was made out of 6.5 million tons of stone. The 3 largest pyramids of Giza also have a deep connection to the cosmos, which is maybe why we can't stop talking about them. It adds a little more mystery to the pyramid's true origins, that's for sure. And also it was the last episode of Moon Knight. The stars of the constellation Orion were originally associated with Osiris, the ancient Egyptian god of rebirth and afterlife. Another huge theory is that an advanced race of aliens came to Earth with future technology, and that's how they were able to build the pyramids. Again, that's a theory from a guy who launches cars into space for fun. His own cars into space for fun. So, yeah, a grain of salt. Take that one with a grain of salt. Number 2, Israel Tomb. Looking back to the Dark Ages in Shamir Heights, northern Israel, this tomb is quite large. Definitely a spectacle. It's made of 400 tons of boulders and it stretches 65 feet wide. This burial chamber goes back 4,000 years. It could mean that humans were part of an organized society that long ago, especially considering the art they found on the ceiling inside this dolmen. Something's afoot here. Some builders were doing something. This is the first time art has been documented in one of these chambers in the Middle East, and we haven't figured out what the ceiling carvings depict yet. So far we think arrows or anchors or, something along those lines. Inside the actual grave, there were 3 sets of human remains, so it had been used for quite a while. While excavating the ancient grave sites, archaeologists also found colored beads. How fun is that? Not every day you find skeletons and beads. One of the most intriguing parts of this grave has to be the lines carved into the ceilings. Yeah, all these lines connecting to one single arc. What could it possibly mean? What's your guess? Sound off below. And finally, number 1, Gobekli Tepe. This monument is not only mysterious because we don't know anything about it or its origins, but it's also caused quite the headache for researchers because it completely rewrites the timeline of the Neolithic era. The Neolithic era was the final period of the Stone Age where early humans began the process of domestication of animals and agriculture. For years, researchers believed that this era is what brought people towards the process of holding rituals and creating monuments to their beliefs. However, upon discovering Gobekli Tepe, that entire idea was completely rewritten, as this mysterious site suggests that it was the work of early hunter-gatherers that made this temple a ritualistic setting. This would have happened long before these individuals decided to create settlements and begin the agricultural revolution, based on the timeline of human settlements and all that jazz. But based on evidence found at this site that, mind you, is 6,000 some odd years older than Stonehenge, groups of hunter-gatherers came to this site in Urfa, Turkey around 11,500 years ago and carved out this ritualistic site out of limestone that covered the entire area. It's believed that Gobekli Tepe was just designed as a stopping point for those early humans. It was a place to meet, hold feasts and then leave again and be on your merry way. But soon enough though, the desire to regularly hold these gatherings prompted the early humans to domesticate plants and animals to have more dependable food source. With this in mind, it's believed that these rituals are what gave way to the agricultural revolution, not the other way around. Well, there you have it, guys. Thank you for joining us on Bumblebee. Those are the top 10 ancient structures built by humans. I've been your host, Taylor McWaters, and I'll see you next time. Have a safe time. Peace. I'm doing like a yoga warrior 2 right now. I think this is a warrior 2. This is horrible. There we go. I'm doing this. I'm doing a wide split. However, upon discovering Gobekli Tepe, that entire idea was completely rewritten. I'm a little baby apparently.